Hi, sorry I couldn't be in class today, but this is what I was going to present to you guys in class. This was going to be my mini presentation for today. I was going to share information that I found on brain-based learning, which is actually kind of interesting to me, and probably what I will focus on my application paper. Brain-based learning, by the definition that I found, was a purposeful engagement of strategies that apply to how our brain works in the context of education. So, it's purposely teaching students to activate their brain, doing specific things in a certain way, and this will activate certain parts of the brain. A lot of this is based or has a lot of, and back of all of this is neuroplasticity, or the concept that your neurons connect. Their connections change constantly in your brain. They remap, they reorganize themselves. This happens every time we learn a new concept, have a new experience, practice a new skill over time. So your brain makes new connections. It's the activities that we do in the classroom, how we set up certain things, and that's how we get different parts of our brain to connect, therefore helping the students remember what we're talking about and the lessons that we talked about. Um, there is some debate. It is pretty new, so there's still a lot of debates. There's still a lot of research that's having to be made on this to see if it really or how it affects. I really feel like we are already using a lot of these strategies in the classroom. We may not realize it, but we are. Small things they mentioned one article, like playing calming music to help the students de-stress, or reducing the amount of time that we lecture, that whole 10-2 talk for 10 minutes, give them 2 minutes to process the information, then go back again and lecture and give them 2 minutes to process that information. I know that's a strategy we talked a lot about. One of the biggest things, of course, is being practical. Um, Brain-based learning, one of the things they stress is that physical activity, when there's physical activity attached, there's some sort of manipulation attached to your lesson, then they'll remember that more likely. Exercise, good eating, of course, that helps your brain remember things. So being practical, one of the articles says, so even though in brain-based learning, they stress that there be, physical activity and the students stay healthy and be stimulated physically, you're not going to go put treadmills in every classroom just to keep them physically going. So small things like that, try. I think we do, but we do have to be practical about it. I wanted to share this with you guys because I really thought it was cool. It's like a really like a small piece of what brain-based teaching strategies would be. One was um, too much too fast. Sometimes we do that. We need to chunk down the pieces of information. We need to allow the students time to process and let all that information settle instead of throwing a lot of information on them. To remember that every brain is different, therefore everybody learns differently and every student learns differently. So have a variety in your teaching, visuals, illustrations, CVDs, maybe it's drama, maybe it's hands-on, maybe it's just a lot of moving around. Every student is different. Um, Moderate stress, which I thought was kind of interesting because I know we always try to stay away for that. But by that they meant, make sure you have an accountability piece that when you give the students something to work on, also give them time to share, whether it's a short quiz or just write a response on a post-it note or something small, but make the kids accountable for their learning. That's what they would consider moderate stress. Um, Active processing time, giving them time to process the information that you're giving them instead of just giving it to them. Journaling, discussions, things like those are brought up. which also brought to mind, for me at least, the interactive journals, because that was a huge push in our district for a while. Certain VLCs were really encouraging, and there was a big discussion about how the left side and the right side of the journal had to be used correctly, and certain activities had to be placed in certain ways so that the brain would make the connection from the right side and the left side. And the last thing I wanted to mention was something they called settling time, like taking breaks. Um, what came to my mind was all these like little brain breaks that you can find on YouTube. They're like songs where the kids will have to get up and do some kind of movement. They're always like really short. They call it like it's a passive processing time, to where whatever you just taught them, you're giving their brain a time to process the information you just gave them. But I've seen a lot of those little brain breaks on YouTube. Anyway, I wanted to guys show you. I think brain-based learning and all the strategies that come with it are actually quite interesting, and a lot of which are already in our classrooms.